Yo guys, we are back and today we are creating a Discord token information bot where users will be able to provide a CA and the bot will answer with a security report. Now, server admins will be able to set a pin code, there will be interaction limits and also the possibility to whitelist roles for certain members. This tutorial will be a bit more in-depth. I will go over how you can create a bot, set it up, invite it to your server, and of course we will check the logic for the bot itself. I will add the timestamps in the description so you can hop over some of these topics that we will cover. So if that sounds interesting, like the video, and with that said, let's check the actual code base, or before we do that, let's check actually what we will build, and after that we will jump into the code base. Alright, so it's a Discord bot, so let's open Discord, and if you're not in our Discord yet, I will also put the link in the description. You're free to join. There is a lot of cool stuff that we talk there about, like token snipers, token hunters, all this cool stuff, but we will also be able to talk about the bot that we will create today. Now, I have the bot installed on my test server, so I can show you there what we will make. As you can see, this is how it will be outputted, and what we need to do is just enter a slash command like this and then search token, and then we need to provide a pin code and the actual CA, and then the bot will check like, hey, I'm going to check this token, and it will answer with a short security report. It will also add reactions and tell the people to, hey, you need to vote with like it's good, bad, or like a really good token, and then people can vote here and of course see what other people think. So as I said, there will be a pin code, as you could see here in the slash command, and this is optional. Of course, you can enable and disable it, and we can also add whitelisted roles for some of the users to use this bot if they have a certain role. And there will be interaction limits, as you can show. I can show you what I mean. So if I would close this and I would run this a few times, eventually it will say to me like, hey, you reached the max amount of interactions, please try again later. And this you can also set by how much times they can actually use it and how much times there need to be passed before they can use it again. So that's what we will build in this tutorial, and with that said, let's jump into the code base. Alright guys, so this is our code base, and in many of my videos I start from showing the code, and then we do a bit of a code review where we check all the code to make the tools work. But today it's a bit more of an in-depth tutorial, so I will show you how I end up here and how I initialize actually a project. So I opened another window here. I'm using the code editor Visual Studio, and if you go to Google and you just type in Visual Studio, like this, Visual Studio Code, and then you click on the first link and then go to download, then you can download it for any of the platforms, so Windows, Linux or Mac. So you just click on the download button, it's an exe, you can just install it on Windows, and after that just open the IDE here to actually write in your code. So I use Visual Studio Code most often. Another thing that you will need is Node, of course, and Node you can just download by going to nodejs.org/en. I don't think you even have to type, it's just .org. And then you will end up on the Node.js page. So Node.js is actually a platform or a runtime environment that allows you to run JavaScript on your computer. Because as you know, JavaScript often runs in the browser, and I can show you what I mean. If I go to developer tools and I open a console, I can type JavaScript in here. Const test is 1. And if I then console.log test, this will output 1 for me. So this is JavaScript running in my browser. But if you want to run JavaScript on your computer, you will need something like Node to actually run it. And that's why you need to download Node. You just click on the download Node button. It's also just an exe file that you can install. And once that is done, you can go back to your IDE. Click, you can open it here. Click on terminal, new terminal. It will open a terminal for you. And here you can type npm -v, and it will give you a version, and node -v. So if you see that, you're good to go and your environment is actually set up. So you have a IDE where you can write your code, and you have Node installed and npm. And npm comes automatically once you install Node. Alright, so the next thing that we will need to do is initialize a project. Because to start writing our code, we need a project. And for that, we will also use npm. And to do that, you can type npm I or npm init better. So this will initialize a project for you, and it will ask you a lot of questions like the package name, the version, description, and you can answer all these. But if you don't want to do that, then you can just, I can remove this file here for you so that I can show you what I mean. If you don't want to do that, you can also type npm init -y, and this will just initialize a project with the default settings and create this file for you without having to answer all these questions. And the default settings, they are often okay, so you don't have to change any of these. So the next thing that I do is create a folder where I store all my project files, and I call it source, just like this, src. And here I will store all the files for my tools, and I can show you all the TS files, so all the TypeScript files, they will go in the source file. The next thing I do is create a environment file, and this is just .env or .env, and this file will hold all our sensitive data, like for example API key alias, for example. And then here will be our key. So then later in our project, we will be able to reference this file and pull all our sensitive data from this file. And the environment file is also never shared. If we upload it to Git or we share our project, the environment file you should never share. What you can do is create a environment backup file like you often see in my projects, like this. And make sure that the values are empty. And then here you can type in all your values. And this file you can share so that people that use the project, they can always reference this file and then copy this and rename it to a file called .env, just like what we have here. So the next thing that I do is installing some dependencies that I often use in all of my projects. And I can show you which they are. So the ones that I install and that we will use in this video is Discord.js, Axios for making the fetch requests to our API endpoints, and the Solana SPL token and Solana Web3.js to talk to the Solana blockchain. BS58 is for encryption, WebSocket.env. Again, we will use this library to talk to our .env file to get this sensitive data into our project. And then datefns, which is a library to work with dates. So once I've specified this, I just press enter, and then npm will start installing these libraries into our projects. And once that is done, you will see a new folder here on top called Node Modules, and this folder will hold all the dependencies that are needed for our project. And some of these libraries, they come with their own dependencies, of course, but they will all be stored in these Node modules and you don't have to think about it. It's npm that will take care of this. And if you click on this package.json file again, then you will see that the dependencies that you specified are now here written. So next time, if you share this project again, you will not share it with the Node modules folder. So you can always delete that. It's an important folder, but it's not that important that you cannot delete it. So if you delete it and it's not there, or you receive a project from me or someone else, it will always have this package.json file that specifies the modules that are needed. And you can install them by typing npm I or npm install. And npm will now look at this package.json file, see what libraries or dependencies it needs, and start installing them for you again. And as you can see, it will recreate this Node modules file. Besides dependencies for the project, I also install some dev dependencies, and these are dependencies that are necessarily needed to make the project run, but are more there to assist by developing while developing this project. And the ones that I install for now are TS Node, Typescript, because we will build our project in Typescript, and I will explain more later what that is and why we use it, ESLint, and also some type nodes. So I end this with typing s -- save, -dev, and this will save the dependencies as dev dependencies. And of course, npm will do the same thing. It will download them, put them in the node modules folder, and also make a reference of these dependencies in this file here, package.json. But you can see now it's under dev dependencies. And again, you can just remove this folder and type npm install again, and it will look at this file to make sure it installs all the dependencies and the library dependencies for you and store them in the node modules file. And these two files here, package log.json and package.json, will take care of that combined with the npm I command that you run. So you will always get the project without the node modules folder, and what you will have to do is type npm I for installing all these dependencies that are specified in this package.json file. Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is also initialize TypeScript, because we use TypeScript in this project, and that you can do by typing npx, then TypeScript or tsc --init, and this will actually initialize a TypeScript project for us. And as you can see, it also creates a tsconfig.json file, and this file just holds all the parameters on how we want to use TypeScript into our project, and we will look at that file again a bit later. Another thing that we want to initialize is ESLint, and ESLint is just a tool that will help us write clean code. So if we, for example, create variables but we don't use them in our project, ESLint will tell us like, hey, this is an unused variable. So it will actually help us with writing clean code, and besides unused variables, it will do much more, but that's a simple example. And to initialize ESLint, you can type npx ESLint --init. Just the same way as you did with TypeScript. And it will ask you a few questions, and here we can say, do you want to use it to check the syntax, as I said, the example with the unused variable, and do you also want to find problems? But we just use it to check the syntax. We will use CommonJS for now. We won't use a framework, so we do none of these. Do you use TypeScript? Yes, we use TypeScript. Do we use the browser or Node? Remember, I showed you that you can use browser, JavaScript, but we are using Node on our computer. So we select Node, and then it says, would you like to install them now? And it is the ESLint, globals, and TypeScript ESLint. So yes, it's probably dependencies that ESLint needs. So you can say yes. And then it's one more question. Which package manager do you use? And we use npm, so we just select npm. And this will also now initialize ESLint for us. And if it's all good, you will see that there are no errors, and that you have a file called ESLint config msg. And this is also just a config file that ESLint will use to run in a certain way. So we will come back to these two files later if need. So, but for now, we have a project which is initialized with npm. We have an environment file, we have our TypeScript config, and we have our ESLint config, and also a source file with our first script file in here called index.ts. So, as I said before, TypeScript can be configured in a few ways, and as you can see, it has a lot of options, and most of them are commented out, but you can set up TypeScript in many ways. But I will just show you the few options that I changed and that I have in my projects most of the time. So the target I set always to ES 2020, just like this. I use CommonJS just to check. I have it like this. You can write it with small letters or big letters. And then the out there, I think we have strict is fine. You can leave the rest as is, but there is a function called out there somewhere, like here. You can just uncomment it. And out there I set to dist. And this means when I compile code from TypeScript to JavaScript, then it will output it in a folder called dist. And then I have also root there, and this is also comment out, and you can just uncomment it like this. And this wants actually a location where it can find your TypeScript files. And for us, that is located in .src, because we created this file here, .src, and then all our project files will be in here. All right, and I can also show you why we do this. So here we have a TypeScript file, and we can just add some content. Const test or test is tutorial, just like this. And now we can do console.log, let's say test, just like this. So this is a really simple TypeScript file. It's also JavaScript, but now we are using TypeScript. And what you can do then, go to package.json, and under scripts, we can type build, and we can say, once we run that script, I want you to run tsc. So that's what it will do. So we now add a script for npm to run, and if we run that script with npm, it will run this command. So what we can then do is npm run build. And what TypeScript now will do is compile our TypeScript file into a JavaScript file, as you can see here, and output it in the dist folder. And it took the source files from the src folder. And as you can see, now we have our JavaScript file, which actually looks quite similar to our TypeScript file in this case. But if you have bigger projects, it will turn this TypeScript file into a JavaScript file after it's compiled. Alright, and so one last thing that I will show you is why we have ESLint. So let's say that this is our TypeScript file, and we would use a new variable const unused is 1. So if we would go to our package.json file and we will add another comment, in this case we want to use lint to test our actual linting, then you can just type lint and then npx ESLint source, and then also all the files with ts. So if we then run npm run lint, then it will warn us that there are, for example, unused variables. And I think we need to save this file first, then run it once again. And then you will see that it will complain, like there is one problem, one unused variable, and it will also show you where. So we can click on this, it goes to this file, and then you see one, so it refers to this unused variable. And if you would just use that variable now, then ESLint will be happy. So we can run it again, and you see there is no errors. So that's why we have also ESLint. It will help us to write clean code. So that's how I have my projects set up most of the time. And as you can see, this file structure now looks quite similar to the file structure from the projects that I often show you. As you can see, now we have the node modules, the source file environment, and then the ESLint and tsconfig file. I also have a README file, but these files are used for Git. So when people open my Git page, they can actually see what it is about. And also the git ignore. This file is showing all the files and folders that I want to ignore when I send this code to like Git. As you can see, in this git ignore folder, we have, of course, node modules, because these we don't ship, because people can just use the package.json file, run the npm install command, and it will create these node modules for them. And also the .env file, because remember, this is our sensitive data, so that we will also never push to Git. And then I have another few files that I also don't want to make sure they are sent to Git, but the most important ones are the .env file and the node modules. So that's what the git ignore file does. So knowing now how the project is initialized, set up, and what all these files mean, I think it's time to jump back into our code base from the token information bot, and then we will go look at the actual logic on how we built the bot, how we added the bot to our server, and also how we create the bot in the Discord developer platform. Alright, so now that we are back in our code base for the bot, as I said, all the project files, they are stored in my source folder here. And I also have a start command that is called start:bot, and what this will do is just start the index.ts file here in the source folder. And it does it by running ts-node, because we use node source index.ts. And this is the starting point of our bot. And you can run this by just typing npm run start bot, like this. And this will start the actual script. and start the bot. That's what it does. So as I said, the starting point of the bot is in the index.ts file. Now, to make sure that we can actually run this bot, we will need a Discord channel and a Discord bot token. And the Discord channel is just a channel where we want to output these token profiles or these token security checks, and where we want the bot to actually talk to our users. And the Discord bot token is actually the specified token or the unique token for that bot. And that token for that bot you can get on the Discord developers platform. So the first thing that we will need to do is go to Discord developers portal, I think it's called. So you just type in Discord developer portal, you click on the first link, and then you will have to log in with your Discord username, of course. But once you are logged in, you can click on applications, and under applications, if you don't have any applications, it will just be empty. As you can see, I have 4 apps, bots or applications here, and they might look familiar. These are just the bots that we have in the server. Go to general, show you the users. Here we have the 4 bots that I run. These are just the bots here in the Discord developer portal. If you don't have any, that's fine. You can always create one by clicking on new application. And for the purpose of this video, I will create one with you so that we can actually use in our test server. So here we call it token, let's say token investigator. That's just the name of our app. And you accept it, create. I'm not a human. Once you created this bot, you will see that you end up on a page with a blank bot. And if you don't know where you are, you can always go back by clicking on the dev icon here, applications, and now you'll see that your application is also showing here. And you click on it, and here you can give it a name. Of course, it's the name that it takes that we provided it, but it can be a bit more unique, and we can say token investigator, something like this. You can not investor or token investor, but it doesn't matter. Anything that you want to call it. Here you can give it a description, and the description will show once the people click on your bot, it will have this small description here. And then you can also give it some text and a picture. And then you can just click on this, select a picture. And for now, I will just choose this random picture, and then you click Save Changes. The next thing you can do is go to bot here on the left side, and here you can also give it a banner, and this is the banner when people click on it here on top of your bot. So I will also just select a random banner really quick so that we can use it in this tutorial. And here you can also give it a username if you want to do so. And then to get the token, you can click Reset Token, and that will create a token for you. You'll have to enter your Discord password, so let me just enter my password real quick. Once you've entered your password, you get a token here. Reset token, it went away, but you can do it again. And then you will see the token here, and you can just copy token, and then it will copy it to your clipboard. You can go back to your project, and here under the Discord bot token, you can just paste it just like this. So now we have created a bot, and we have the actual bot token. And there's a few more things that we need to do. So, here you have some options, and what you need to select is public bot. And don't worry, it's not a public bot that is available for everyone, but you will be able to invite it to your server. And the last thing you need to enable is message content intent. And this you also enable. Then you click Save Settings. And the ones in the middle, these options in the middle, you can just leave as is. So the first one needs to be enabled and the last one. And then you can go to installation. And under installation, you can uncheck user install. Install link you set to none, and then you click Save Changes. And then to invite the bot to your server, you click on OAuth. Next, you select bot. You don't select any other privileges, because the privileges for the bot we will set in our Discord server. We will just invite it as a regular user. The only thing you need to select is bot, and then it will generate a link for you here. That link you can copy and then just paste it into your browser and visit it. This will pop up Discord for you, and it will ask to invite the bot to your server. And if you have a server here, you can select which server. And for the purpose of this video, I will do it in my test server and authorize. And this will invite the bot into your server. Then you can go to the server, in this case the test server, and here you will see that I have the bot now in my server. And of course, I think I need to verify my bot, because if you don't have verification in your server, it's fine. It will be there automatically, but you will see it automatically in your server. As you can see, now the bot is here with the selected banner, the name and the username. So we now have our bot into our server. Now, the bot is offline because our script is not running, but this is something that we will do next later on in the video. We will make sure that it is initialized and online before it can start serving your users. So that's all you needed to do. After that, you can just close this window. And yeah, I think we are done here. Now you will see that you have your bot here with the picture. And if you want to make changes, you can always click on it, change the name, the description. And also if you want to reset the token, you can always go to bot, click reset token, and enter your password, and it will provide you a new token. So if you, for example, lose your token or it's compromised, you can always come here, reset token, and the old token will no longer work. So once that's done, you can just close this window, close your browser for now, and make sure that we have the bot token here. The next thing that we want to know is where our bot will actually send our messages to. And you can go to your own server and you can create a new channel, for example. And this we can call bot investigator. And we can create the channel. And then you can right click the channel and do copy ID. And if you don't see this copy ID, what you can do is go to your user settings and search for, I believe it is developer mode. And under advanced here, you will see an option developer mode. And if this is not enabled, you need to enable it, then go back to the channel, right click it, copy ID. And this will copy the channel ID for you that you can paste in the Discord channel environment. So now we have a channel and a bot ID or a bot token. So now we are ready for the next step, which is actually initializing our bot to make sure that it is online in our server. And after that, we will see how we can start serving our users. Alright guys, with that out of the way, it's now time for the fun part, the actual code review, and see how our bot works. So, as I said, the bot starts from the index.ts file. Because you remember, we have this start command here called start:bot, and that starts the index.ts file via node. So once we run this start command, as I showed you earlier, it will trigger this file. And if you look at this file, it has a lot of imports, of course, because we need this to make our code base work. But at the bottom, you will see that it does something. And what it does is initializing Discord. And that is just a function here. And once it initialized Discord, it says here, then it will start the Discord bot. And that is just this function here. So it will also try to catch errors. And if it catches errors, it will output them in the console. So the initialize Discord function is created here on top, and I think we can start with that. So once it triggers this, it respects two imports or two values. It expects a channel and a bot token. So That's what we need to provide here when we call this function. And the Discord channel, remember, we created that and we stored it into our environment file. And the same for the Discord bot, which is the bot token, which we also stored in our environment file. So to get these two variables, we will need to talk to our environment file that we created here earlier. And we do that by using a package called .env. And .env we just import here on top. And remember, we also installed that using npm. And once we call this or import this library, we can call all the variables located in this .env file via this command. We just write .env.config. So once we did that, we have access to all these variables in this environment file here. And what we can do then is just say Discord channel is process.env and the Discord channel, and the Discord bot is process.env Discord bot token. And then we have these two variables that we need for our function here, and we can properly provide them. So now that we have the Discord channel and the Discord bot and we can provide them to our function, we can go back to this function. And as I said, this function expects these two values, and it will also put these two values in a variable within this function here called bot channel ID and Discord bot token. And then the first thing that we will do is check if we actually received these values. And if we did not receive one of them, then we will just write out a log like, hey, Discord bot not started because there is a missing Discord bot token or a missing channel ID. And we return false, which will mean that it will not continue in this function, but it will just go out. So if these two values are provided, that means that we can continue. And the first thing that we will do is initialize a Discord client. And it says here, create a client connection and store it in the Discord client variable, so we can use it in the entire app. And that's what we will do. So we need to do a few things here. So we will create a variable Discord client. We won't create it actually, we already created it because it needs to be outside of this function, because we need to be able it later in the rest of our function. So what we will do here is just give it a new value, because now it's just empty. We know that it is a client because we use Typescript, but it is empty. It doesn't hold an actual client yet. So what we will say is Discord client is a new client. And client is a method that comes with Discord.js. And we also import it here on top. Let's say this is not imported and you are writing this by yourself. Once you write client, you'll see that it underlines in red. And you can just do Ctrl space, and then you can select client from Discord.js. And then you will see that it will be imported here on top. But client comes with Discord.js. And to make a new client, we need to provide some intents. And intents, they are just, they allow us to make sure that our bot can talk and receive messages. And we need to talk, and we also need to receive messages in order to serve our users. So that's why we specify these three intents here. You can also visit this link if you want to have more information about the available intents, but for the purpose of our bot, these should be sufficient. So once we created a client, the next thing we need to do is try to log in with this client. So Discord client, we will use that to log in. So we just say .login, and we provided the Discord bot token. So for this new client, we will try to log in with the bot token, so the bot that we created in the developer portal. And once we do that, we wait. And that's why we put await. It's an asynchronous function. So once we are logged in, and once it is logging, we create a listener for this Discord client. And what this will do, it will listen to the login event and it will wait until it's ready. And when it's ready, it will know. So this event listener will be triggered once the login is ready. And once the login is ready, we need to do a few things. We need to set up the bot channel. And the bot channel can be set up based on the bot channel ID that we provided. Remember, we created a channel and then we did copy channel ID. We stored it into our environment file. And that bot channel ID, we also provided here on top via our function. And it comes from our environment file. So once the Discord client is ready, what we will do is the bot channel that we have here on top, which we will also need in the remainder of our function, which we know is a channel, and channel also comes with Discord, so we know the actual type. So the bot channel we will also provide here. And we do that by saying the Discord client that has been logged in, channels, cache, get, and then we specify the bot channel ID. And what it will do then, based on this bot channel ID, if it is filled in and it has an actual correct bot channel ID, it will log out like, hey, the Discord bot is connected. And if it cannot find this bot channel ID, then something went wrong. And that means that it's not a valid text channel or something else. Then we will also just output that here and we will return false. Because remember, if we return false, it will not continue with the rest of the logic of the function and will just exit the function. But if our Discord client is correctly logged in and we have a correct bot channel that is created based on this bot channel ID, then we can continue. And then we need to do a few things because our bot will use slash comments, and I can show you what I mean. So if we would go back to our test server and we have our bot here, I can show you with the actual bot that I use. So /search token. These are these slash comments that we will use. And search token is one of them. And these we also need to specify once the Discord client is ready and also logged in, client ready, which means it's logged in and it has an application. So once the Discord client is ready and an application exists on this Discord client, we can continue with registering our slash comments. And that's what we will do here. So what we will say is new slash comment builder, and we will store that in the search token because our slash comment is called search token. That's why I give it this name. And slash comment builder also comes with Discord.js, which is imported here on top. And if we created a new slash comment builder instance, then we will give it a name by saying set name search token. And that message here is what we'll show here when we type search token. That is exactly the name of the slash comment. And then we can also give it a description. And the description you will see once you write this search token comment, you get a small description here. And that's the description that we provide here. So next we need to say what options this slash comment will have. And for now we will have pin code and CA. And these we can also give a description. So if we then type a pin code here, it will say pin code verification. That's the message. And it says here pin code verification. So we just say add string option. And then we set it a name, pin code, and a description. And you can also set here like if it is required or not, and the same for DCA, if it is required or not. So then we just parse it to JSON, and then we have created our first slash comment. Now to register it, we need to do the Discord client, which we just created and we know is logged in, application, comments, create, and then we say create this search token slash comment. And that is all that we need to do to make sure we register a proper slash comment. If Discord client application would not be there for a reason, again, then we will also output a log and return false and exit this function. If everything went well, then we know now that we have an actual Discord bot token, or a Discord bot client better, and a bot channel. And we know that our slash command is properly registered. All right, so after our Discord bot is successfully initiated, that will mean that our bot will be actually show online in the server. So if this was successful, then the bot will show online in the server, and we are again one step closer to serving our users. So after this has run and it was successful, it will continue to the next function, which is called start Discord bot. And that function is actually written here, and we can also have a look at that. So once this runs, the first thing that we will check, of course, is that we have a valid Discord client and a valid Discord bot channel. And remember, these two values are set in the initialize Discord function. And if something went wrong, then these were not set. So we know by checking these two variables, if they are set, then the initialization should be fine. If something went wrong here and we don't have any of these values, again, we will try to rerun this function and we will output like, hey, we don't have these values yet. Let's wait 2 seconds. Maybe this initialization is still ongoing, but otherwise we will not do anything else. So until we have these two values here, we will not continue. If we have these two values here, then we will move on. And the next thing that we will do is look at our Discord client. Because remember, that is the client that we initiated with the bot token that we provided. So we now know that this Discord client is active and logged in, and it is listening for events. And that is exactly what we will do here. Like events, interaction, create. So what it will do here is once an event is triggered, which is an interaction with this bot, then we will take this interaction. And based on this interaction, we can exactly move on. So this Discord client is just initiated. It's the bot, it's online, and it's waiting for interactions. And once an interaction comes in, which is an event, then we will take that interaction and we will do something with it. So the first thing that we do here is check if this interaction is a chat input comment. And this you can actually refer to as a guard function. And a guard function just will check like, hey, is this interaction an actual slash comment? I don't want to handle direct messages. I don't want to listen to messages in the channel. I only want to do something if this interaction is an actual slash comment. And I also want to make sure that I am in a server or in a guild. And if I'm in a server and I'm receiving a slash comment input, then I will move on. If any of this is false, again, we do return and it will exit this function. I don't want to do anything with this interaction. But if it's a valid interaction, so we know we are using the registered slash command and we are in a server, then we move on. And the first thing that we do is take the user ID of the user that is interacting with this bot. And we do that by looking into this interaction, looking in the user from this interaction, and then we take the ID. And if we for some reason don't get the ID, then again, we will return and exit this function. But if we have the ID, we will move on. And the next thing that we will do is get our inputs that the user provided in the slash command input fields. And that we do by looking at the interaction, options, get string, and the name of the input fields that we registered earlier. Remember, we can look at the Discord initialization. If we look at the register, here we say pin code and CA. Remember, these are the two that we actually registered. And these are the two that we now want to extract. So if we, for some reason, cannot extract these two values, then we will return and also exit the function. But if we have the two values of the pin code and the CA, then we move on. And the first thing that we will do is verify the pin code. And how will we do that? We have a separate function for that. It's called verify pin code. And also that is imported on top here. And it comes from utils permission tracker. And utils permission tracker is located, as it says, in utils permission tracker. So if we click on this, it will automatically go to that function. And what this function does, it will expect a pin code. So we will provide it a pin code. And then it will take the pin code that we provided in our config settings file. So the config file is located here in our project. And we import it just on top here, config. And then we go to config file. And that is actually going to this file. And in this config file, we have a permissions section. And there it says pin code. And the pin code now is set to 123456. So if we then go back to our permission tracker, we load this pin code in here. So we know it's now 123456. And then we will just check it. So if we don't have a pin code and the pin code is not equal to the pin code that we provided, then we know it's not correct. Otherwise, we know that it is true. And we just return true or false. If we go back to our script, if we provided the pin code that was returned from the slash command, we provide it to our verify pin code function. This will return true or false. And if it is false, then we will return a message to our users. And what we will say is like, hey, the provided pin code is not valid. And we do that by using the interaction that we received. And then we just say reply. The content of our reply is just the message that we want to send. Ephemeral, that means if it's visible to the user only or to all users. And as we are interacting with that user that tried to use the slash command, we can set this to true, so only that user will see this message. And again, we return because it's a wrong pin code and we don't want to continue. And we can try that. So if we would go to our bot, which is not online at the moment, but we can probably start it. So if I open the terminal, and remember, start command for our terminal was, for our bot was npm run start bot. And if everything went well, the bot should now be online. As you can see, it's online now. And we also registered to a slash command for it. Now I might need to restart Discord because I also have it for this bot, of course, so I need to make sure that I'm not doing something wrong and have two bots listening to the same comment, but we can try, why not? So I go to Discord. Once again, we know that our bot is initialized because it says here Discord bot connected. And if I would go back to my test server and then connect, now I can see that I have the search token function here. So if I would enter a wrong pin code, let's say, and then a CA that doesn't exist, now it will return the provided pin code is not valid. And as you can see, only you can see this message. And that's what we actually did here. So we can stop the bot for now, close the terminal. That's what we are doing here. The provided pin code is not valid, and we only show it to the user that it's interacting with the bot. Now, if the pin code is valid, then we can move on. And the next thing that we will do is verify if this user ID is allowed to send or if it is a banned user. And for that, we have also a function, verify user ID, which also comes from utils permission tracker. And we can have a look at that, verify user ID. And this will do the exact same thing. It will import the banned user IDs from our config file. I can show you here. We also have a config file for banned IDs, and this is just a string array. And here we can add IDs of users that we want to block. So, permission tracker, we get these IDs from the users, and the provided user ID, if it is included in this string or array string, then we return false, because that means that the user is not valid, that it is banned, and we don't want him to proceed. And if it's okay, if the user is not in the banned IDs list, then we return true. And that's what we do here. So we provided the user ID that we earlier extracted, remember? And if it's banned, then we will say you are currently not allowed to interact with this bot. Please try again later or contact the server owner. And we will also only show that to the user and return. So we'll exit the function. The next thing that we will do is verify the role. And also for that, we have a function called verify role. And that is also imported from utils permission tracker. And if we click on that, it will also go to that function. And what we will do here is also import the roles that are allowed. Again, if we look at our config file, allowed roles. And for now, we only allowed the trader role. So we need to make sure that our user has the trader role. And if it doesn't have that role, it will not be able to use it. Also, if we leave this empty, all users without any roles will be able to use this bot. So back to permission tracker, what we do here is if the allowed roles is not 0, then we will check them, because if it is 0, we don't specify any roles, it will always be true. All roles can use it. If there is a role, then we need to check the member role. And how do we do that? The interaction that we passed into this function, remember in index, if we would go here we pass in the interaction. So the whole interaction that we are working with, we just pass it to this function verify role. So we take that interaction from this member and we store it in member. And if that member does not have any roles, so there is no roles in member, and cache is also something that we need to check to make sure that there is roles, then we return false because the user has no roles. If the user has roles, the next thing that we can check is if this role that we want the user to have is valid in the list of roles that this user have. And we do that by using this function. So member roles cache, this is just a list of roles that the user from this interaction has. And then we will map through it. So we go through it and we see that any of the roles that the user has are the same as the roles that we imported from our config file. And if that is the case, then we will return true because we will hop over this. So here we get all these roles, and if it includes one of the roles, then it's good. But if it doesn't include one of the roles, and that's why we use this exclamation mark here, it means negative, then it will return false. Otherwise, it skips over that and returns true. So this functionality just checks if the roles that this user has is present in the roles from the config file. And if no roles are specified in the config file, then we just hop over everything and we return true. So then here we return is valid role true or false. And if it is false or not true, because we use also here an explanation, then we will say, hey, you do not have the correct role to interact with this bot. And the same, we will send that back to the user only and return, which means we will exit the function. The next thing that we will do is check the verification or the interaction status, because we can also limit the amount of interactions that a user can do with this bot. And for that, we also have a function called verify interaction status. And if you click on it, it will also go back to the interaction tracker, which is not permission tracker in this case. So it's in a different file, which is also imported here on top, but it's called interaction tracker. And if you look at that, the interaction tracker has one function, and this is the function that we call here. Verify interaction status. So if you will look at this function here, this function will verify if there is a certain amount of interactions happened and if it's actually exceeding the ones that we set in the config file. So if we look at the config file, Here we also have settings for interactions. And we can enable it and disable it. So if we set it to false, interactions will not be checked. People can interact with the bot how much they want. If we enable it and we set it to true, then we can say like, hey, the user can do a max amount of interactions, in this case 2. And they can do 2 interactions within 1 minute. So if you want to say they can do 10 interactions within 5 minutes, that is also fine. But for now, we set it to 2 interactions within 1 minute. So here are the settings specified for the interactions. So if you go back to the interaction tracker, these are the settings that we import here on top. Remember, config, settings, interactions, our limit interactions enabled, yes or no, the interaction count, and the reset per minutes. So once we import these values here, we can move on. And we will first check it. So if it is enabled and these 2 values are not 0, then we will check it. But if it is disabled, again, we will hop over it and return true. The user can just proceed and interact with the bot. Now, if the interactions limit is enabled, the first thing that we will do is load the current interactions. And load interactions is a function stored here on top. And what this function will do, it will just look at the interactions.json file. And the interactions.json file holds a record of the user ID with the actual interaction times. So here you can see that this user has interacted with this bot 2 times. And it also specifies the time, of course. So that's what this function does. So now we have the actual interactions that this user did. Let's load interactions again. It will just check the interactions that are stored in the interaction file. Then we will create a current date because we want to see if the last interaction was actually within the date or the time that we specified. And we also set a reset date. And this is the time that we specified in minutes, the 1 minute times 60 times 1000. And that will actually turn this into a Unix timestamp, which we then can use to verify the amount of time that has proceeded and to check if the user can actually interact again. So the first thing that we will do here is look at these interactions that we received back from our load interactions file. And then the user ID that we provided to this function that comes from our main function, user ID, remember, the one that we try to get here on top, we provided in this function. We will check in this list if it exists. So if this user ID does not exist in this list, then we can just move on because the user did not have any interactions yet. That's what we do here. So if it's not there, then we move on. However, if this user has a previous interaction, then we are going to check if it is within the actual time that we specified. And that's what we do with this logic here. So if the user has interacted with this bot before, because that's what we try to get out here, if that is 0, if it didn't interact before, then we will also clean everything up. And that is just something we do to make sure that our interaction file does not grow super large. So that's what we do here. So if the user interactions within the time that we specified is 0, so no interactions within the last minute, then we will also clean all the interactions. And this function is also specified here on top. It will load the interactions, and for every interaction that this user has, we will just delete it. And that's the functionality that we will use for this. So if the user has interactions, then we also want to check the interaction time limit. And that's what we do with this, or the interaction count limit, sorry. So if the user has interactions, remember, because we were checking them here, or we filtered them out better, if that length is bigger than the amount that we allow, then we will return false. If not, it will skip over and it moves on. And what it will do then is just adding a new record in the interactions file here. And then we will save the interactions. And that function is also stored here. And that will just write to our interaction file here in the project. So this might look intimidating, but a quick recap, what this does. So this function takes the user ID, the user ID from the interaction. And then this functionality will just go to this file and see if this user ID exists. If it doesn't exist, then we can move on. If it exists, then we just check how many interactions this user has. And if it's less than the ones that we specify that the user can have, it moves on. If it has more than the specified amount of interactions that we allow, then it will check the interactions and see if they are within the time that we set. If they are within the time that we set, then we will return false. If they are not, then we will clean up this whole list and just add the latest interaction. So that's what this functionality actually does. So if you go back to our file here it will also return true or false. And if it is false, or not true in this case, then it will also return you reach the max amount of interactions and you need to wait. Same principle, we return to the user only by setting this to true and return and we exit. So these are the checks that we do to make sure that we have a valid pin code, that the user is not banned, that the user has the right role, and that the user is not exceeding the amount of interactions. And if all this is okay and it is passed, then we can move on with the actual getting of the information of the token. Alright, so now that we have all the verifications behind us, and we know that the user can interact with the bot, we are ready to move on and actually fetch the security report for this token. So the next thing that we would do, and I see this here in the code, and I think that I will turn these two around. Before, we were going to check if it's a valid CA, but I want to actually send a reply to the user first. That's why I put this here first, and I will explain to you what this does. So we are certain now that the user can interact with the bot, so we also want to let the user know that we will start looking at this token. So what we do first is taking the interaction and we defer the reply. And what we mean with deferring the reply is that we will just give ourselves a bit more time to reply, because by default, if you would initiate an interaction with a bot, Discord will expect a reply in roughly 50 seconds. And it's okay by doing all these checks, because not much happens. We don't have to talk to an API. We don't have to do much calculation, so they will go quite quick actually. But now that we have to go and check these token details, we will have to do a API request, and this can take some time. And often, it will probably not, but often with everything that we will do, like checking the report, sending it back to Discord, it may exceed 15 seconds. It will not do that, but just to make sure that we are not exceeding this, we're using this interaction defer reply. And that will just means that we will say to Discord, like, we received your interaction, we confirm this, but we need more time. And you will get roughly 15 minutes to do your calculations and send back to Discord your message. Now, once you trigger this, your bot will write back to the user that it is thinking. it will just output a message like bot name is thinking. And that is fine, but we want to update that reply because we want to show it a bit nicer. And that's why we do the interaction, edit reply, and then we say, all right, let me check the token, and that is the provided CA for you. So by doing this, we just say, hey, we got the token. I confirm that everything is good. You may interact. Please let me do my job. Give me 15 minutes more. And all right, let me check the token for you. So that is what will happen. Before I had this after the CA, but I think after the check of the CA, but I think it makes more sense to have it actually in front. So once the bot says that it is checking the token, the next thing we need to do is verify that the actual token that was provided is a valid token. And for that, we also have a separate function called verify CA. And this is also imported here on top, and it's in utils token tracker. And we can click on that. And it's a small function, but it is really helpful for us. And what we do is import public key from Solana Web3.js, because we will use public key to turn this token address that was provided to us into a public key. And then by using public key is on curve, providing the address, we will return true or false. Or it will return true if it's a valid key. And if it cannot do this, it will error out and it will return false. So just by doing this, providing the token address, creating a new public key object from Web3.js, and then that address public key is on curve, this function will return us if that is a valid key or not. And if it is, it returns true, and if it is not, it will return false. And that's what we also will get here in the index. If we go back down, this will return true or false. And if it is not true, we do the same thing. We say the token address that you provided seems invalid. And then we send it to the user only, and we return, and we do not continue. So now we know that we have a valid Solana token address. And with that address, we can actually go along and try to fetch a security report from rugcheck.xyz. And for that, I have a separate function here. It's called getFullReport. And what we will do is just providing it the CA that we also had a check here for, that we know is a valid CA. So this functionality is also imported on top once again, and it comes from reports rugcheck.xyz. And that is located here in the reports folder. And we can also have a look at that. So the first thing that this function will do is expect the token address, and that's what we provide. And if it is not present, then it will return to us a object. And this object we have specified earlier in our types.ts file. And we can have a look at that project, at that type. Because this function, it expects a token address and it will return a promise in this format. And we can have a look at that. And this rugcheck report response format is defined here in our types.ts file. So that's why we use Typescript. That's why we define these types, so we can always send back properly structured variables, types, objects. And our functions, they will always know what they will receive. So this is the format that we will return back. And as you can see, this rugcheck report response contains of a mint, success, true or false, a message, and the actual report. And the report can be null, or it can be the report that we receive back from rugcheck. And that report is specified here on top. And this is the actual response that we will get from rugcheck.xyz. And how do I know that? Well, I can, for example, open Postman. And in Postman, I have a request setup that we can use to actually see how the response will look. So I go to rugcheck here, and then the tokens endpoint, and I will run this. then I get a response back. And this response, this whole response here, is actually the same structure as the response that we defined here. And now you can think, did you type all these variables, as you can see, one by one by hand, like mint, token program, creator? So if you go back, we have creator, we have also mint here. We also have token program here. So all these represent actually the same response as we get from RugCheck. So in theory, you should go through all of them and type them one by one, and it's a good exercise to actually learn how to create TypeScript types. But if you are lazy, what you can do is, or if you want to just work quick, and I often do this as well, is just copy this whole response. And then you go to ChatGPT or Grok, and you just say, create a TypeScript type for me based on this response. And then you paste the response, and then you will get back something like this. And then, of course, you can verify it, and that's always a good exercise to do. But it should should respond to you with a type or an interface that mimics the actual response that you will get back from RugCheck XYZ. And why do we do that? Now, first of all, we will always know what to expect if we invoke a function. So if we invoke a function, we will get a response back, and we will always know how that response looks like. And that's why we use TypeScript. So if we go back to our RugCheck function, so again, here we say, we provide this token address, and we will return you this response. And if you go back to the actual function where we invoke this function, the get full report, this response, as you can see, we also put that in a variable. And also that variable, we assign a type. And this type that we assign it to is actually the same type that we here promise to return. So we are type safe. And that's the whole idea behind TypeScript, that we know what variables or what parameters are in certain objects, what type of response we will get from functions. And it's just easier to work with all these objects and these variables, because if we want to extract values from an object and we see that it is not there, because I can show you what I mean. For example, here, this is our response that we get. So if I would type dot here, you see I get mint message report success. And that is just here what you can see, mint success message report. And if I would type something like next or message like this, I see it's not there, and it will warn me like, hey, a property message does not exist on this response. So then I can see, okay, what is there? Okay, it's message. So we are type safe, and we always know what will be returned to us. As you can see, we have another error here, and it's because it is not message, but it was actually report. And see, that's also a proper way to use things like TypeScript and ESLint and all these things, because it will warn us like, hey, the things that you are doing, they don't make sense. Probably you made a typo, just like the example that we did here. So that was a quick introduction in TypeScript and why I use it in my projects. But let's go back to the function here to get the actual report. So now we know what we provide and what we will get back. And if we have no token address, again, we will return the object just in the exact same structure as the RugCheck response or report response. And we will say mint null, false, because it's not successful. The message is missing token address, and the report is of course null because we don't have a report to return. If we received a token address, however, we can continue. And the next thing we will do is just a API call using Axios. And Axios is just a fancy fetch function. And here we will specify the link that we want to do the request to. And as you can see, back in Postman, this is the exact same link, and here is the mint/report. And that's what we do here, the exact same link, the mint/report. And we store this response that we will get back from Axios. That will look like, again, as you can see here, we define the type, the rugcheck report. Remember, if you look at this here, report is called rugcheck report. So here we say the response that we will get is this rugcheck report. We will store that in a variable rug response. And then we will check that variable if it contains data, because also that is important. If this response is just an empty response, then it's not a real response and we cannot really do something with it. And if that's the case, then we also return again in the same exact format, like, hey, no mint, false, no data returned from rugcheck. But if we did get a response, what we will do then is also return back this information in the right format again, but now we provide a mint, success, message success, and the report is no longer null, but the actual report that was returned to us. So that's how we get the report from rugcheck XYZ. And if we then go back to our main function, here we will get that response back. We store it in this variable that we know that looks like this. And the next thing that we will do, because as you know, we have a success parameter and a message parameter. And the first thing that we will check is, has this response a success? Is that true or false? And if it is not true, or the response has no valid report, it is null, then we will also let the user know, like, hey, I could not find the rugcheck report for this token. Please try again later. Because it was not successful, the fetch of the report, or there was actually no report returned to us. And now we don't want to continue. So the next thing that we do is extract this report only from this response. Remember, the only thing that we want now and that are interested in is this report. And that report has the type rugcheck report. And that's what we will extract from this response here. And again, you can just type if you think, how was it called again? Was it report or something? Yeah, okay, it is report. It's not like files or something like this. So you can always see, because we assigned these types to it, that it is actually the report that we are looking for. And it's not underlined red. So we know that we have the report and we can store it in this variable and assign it again this type here. So the next thing that we will do is prepare a Discord report object. And also this we have defined in our types. And you can always click on this and then you go to the types folder. And here we say, like, hey, the Discord report, or the report that we want to send to Discord, contains these two things, or if for now only one thing. But in the future we can add more and more. It can be bird eye or GMGN or SoulScan or any API that we want to add. But for now, we only have one rugcheck report, and that can be the report itself or null. And that's what we will prepare here. And then we can send this Discord report to our send message on Discord function. And that function also expects a bot channel. But remember that bot channel we have initialized from the beginning when we initialized Discord. And if that is not null, then we know that our initialization was correct. Then we can also send it to our function here together with the report that we formed here. And this functionality will take care of the actual sending the report back to Discord. We can also have a look at that. So this function is stored in the folder Discord. And then the file is called discordsend.ts. And the first thing we do is see if we received a valid bot channel and the report. And if that's not the case, then we just return, we do nothing. And from the report that was provided to us, we will extract the rugcheck report. Because remember, we also know here that the report that we will receive is of type Discord report. Remember? And Discord report has one thing called rugcheck report. And by writing it like const, rug check report in this way, we can just extract this actual report. So now we have the report in this variable. And the next thing that we will do is just extract all the information that we want from that report. And as you can see, we know that this report has actually all the information here from the response that we got back. So in theory, we can extract all this information here and use it in our Discord message. And that is what we do here. So we are looking for a mint. And again, this is a nice preview of Typescript that we can just type mint. You see mint authority, but all these information is available for us. And we know that it is valid because we use Typescript. But this is the mint. So what we do here is just set a border color, and the border color is now green, but also there we can, if we improve our bot, do something with it. If it's a dangerous token, we can make that red. But for now, we just set it to green. And then we extract the mint, the name of the token, the symbol, also the image of the token, the description of the token, the creator, the market liquidity, the price, the supply, the decimals of the supply, because the supply is provided to us without decimals. And then we can calculate the actual supply by using this function, and then we will get a supply with a comma in between, so it makes more sense to work and also display it. We can calculate the market cap with the provided information here. We get the main market, so the market type, in this case it can be radium. We get the public key from the main market. We also check how much markets there are, and we check the transfer fee for this token. And the next thing we do is checking some more security details. And here we check if the token is mintable, if there is a mint authority set, a freeze authority set, if it's mutable, if the liquidity pools are locked. And all these things we can get from this report. Remember, from the rug check report, it is all in here. We just have to extract it and store it in nice variables so that we can use it in our report to send back to Discord. So we also check if we have risks, and rug check report risks is an array, and we can have a look at that. This one is empty, but if we would have a other token, and let's see if we can find something here real quick. That's a summary with risks, so that's good. Let's find risks. As you can see, this token returns us risks, and it returns it in a array format. So we extract the risks, and that's what we do here. And if the risks is longer than 0, we map through them. That's what we do with this logic, and we return them. And we also assign it a like an icon based on the risk danger level, and I can show you what I mean. So every risk has a level, and it can be dangerous. You can see here, warning, or dangerous or warning for now. And if it's danger or warn, then we will assign it a icon, and we can also properly return it into our report. And we just store this rug check report, or we map through it. We assign this icon. That's what we do with a mapping function. It returns everything that we allow it to return, and as we have no conditions, it will return everything to us now, and just assign a icon. And if there are no risks, because the length is not bigger than 0, or it is null in this case, then we will add one entry only saying no risks found. So the next thing that we do is getting the holdings information, and we check for top holders. We check if there are insider holders, and also here we check if there are any holders in the returned response. And I can show you what I mean here. I think it also has holders, this response. As you can see, top holders, it has around 10 holders or something. And at these holders, we will have a look. As you can see, it has a percentage. also says that it is an insider or not. But we are, interested in the percentage. And as you can see, the first holder is often a liquidity pool because it has 87%. And if you look at this address, you can also look it up. As you can see, it is actually a liquidity pool. We will try to ignore this top holder because it will give us a false representation. So that's what we actually do here with this function. So we are going to calculate the total percentage of the top holders. And this will be the case if the top holder's length is not 0, because if we don't have top holders returned, we cannot calculate it. If we have top holders returned, then again, we will slice the first object because we don't want to have the liquidity pool. And then we will loop through it and actually calculate the amount of percentage that all these top holders have. And then we will cap it off to 2 floating points or 2 values behind the comma. And we will also give it a percentage symbol so that it can be returned to us really nice. And that's what we do with this logic. The next thing we do is build up our Explorer links, and I can show you what I mean. I go to an example here. You have all these links where people can click to go to, for example, Twitter or Axiom or Nova. And that is what we do here by building these links. And we store them in one string, and we just concatenate these values to this string. And a string or a hyperlink you can really easy make in Discord by using the hyperlink function, which also comes with Discord GS, and we import here on top. And here you can just give it a name that you want it to display and the actual link. And we create all these links. Of course, we provide the token mints so that it will automatically go to the right token. And for Axiom, we need to provide the pub key from the main liquidity pool to go to the token. But in short, this functionality here will create all the links that users can click. And the next thing we need to do is take all this information that we here extracted and put it into an embedding. And an embedding is just a card that you can see here in Discord, because you can respond in a way that it is just text, as you can see here, or we can respond in a nice way using an embedding or a card. And to create an embedding, we use the embed builder, and also embed builder comes with Discord GS. And if we look at what it does, it is just a function that needs some parameters set, and we will need to provide some information like the color. And remember, that's the border that we provided earlier, the border color, which we set to green, but we can do something more fun with that later. The author, which is the token name, the symbol, and the token image, and that is this here, the symbol, the token name, and the image. And then we have a description that we set. We set a thumbnail, and that is what you see here, the description, and the thumbnail, which is also the image of the actual token. And then we add fields. And all these add fields entries are the values that you see here. So for each line, we have an add field entry, as you can see. Fields, add fields, add fields, add fields. And then is mintable, is freezable, is mutable. That's, for example, the first line. Mintable, is freezable, is mutable. And we do that for every line, just to keep it a bit like organized. And the next thing that we do is also adding a field for our rock check risks that we created an array for. Remember, we looped through all of them. We created we assigned it an icon. And that is how it will output it here for us. And if I scroll up, maybe I have one with risks. And that is how it responds outputs it here. As you can see, we assign an icon and then the actual risk. But remember, if there were no risks, then we just say no risks found. And the last thing we do is adding a timestamp and also providing a footer. And that is what you can see here. The timestamp and the footer. That's this line here. So if this whole embedding is ready, that is stored in a embed constant. And then we will talk to our bot channel that was also provided to us here. Remember, all the way on top, the bot channel was provided to us. So now, for this bot channel, we will do a send method. And what we will send is an embedding, embeds, and we will send the embed that we just created here. And after we did that, we can say then. So you send, and then you will also react to this message. And that's what you see here. So the bot will send it and also react. Because we want these three icons, so they are already set there so that people can just easily click on it. Because later, as you can see, our response here, we will also update that from, hey, we are looking at this token too. There you go, please vote with these icons so other members can see if it's a good or a bad token. And that's why we already add these reactions here. And that's what we do with this logic. And if something went wrong, then we catch an error and we output that in our console. And if this is not the case, then we just return true. And if we then go back to our main function, then this success will be false or true. And if it is true, then, as I said, we will of course log out in our console that we send the message to Discord. But also remember, we will edit our original reply with the message that I showed you earlier. Please vote with these icons. And again, that's what you can see here, so that it makes more sense with the reactions that the bot did on this post. So, and then it will return, because then we are done. If for some reason the success was not, or the response from the message that Discord sent was not successful, then it will hop over this, and it will also give us a reply like, hey, I could not find the information you requested, and return and exit the function. So that is the functionality to send the information to Discord, and that is the actual whole file that we use for that. And we looked at the interaction tracker, the permission tracker, and the token tracker, and we looked at the rugcheck report, how we can pull it, and also at the Discord send functionality. We also had a look at our types and why we use these. And we had a look at the interactions file as well. And we also checked our config to see what options we are actually using to make our users send messages and also to prevent them from sending messages. So we also looked in the beginning of the video how we can get these files here and how we initialize a project. And by doing that, you should now be able to create this project from scratch yourself. But if you think that is hard enough, the code will be available for our VIP members in Discord. So if you're not there yet, I will put the link in the description and you can join Discord for free. And if you want access to the code, you're always welcome to join our VIP program as well. We will also improve this code, so we will add more functionality to it. If we run into bugs, we will update them as well. So if you want to stay up to date of what we are doing with this bot, for sure, join Discord. And if you want to have the code, you can consider joining VIP. So that was it for today. I hope you think it was interesting, and I hope to see you in the next one.